What's happening, MJ traders and investors? It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth for an MJ Sector review. Today's review for Hump Day. It's Wednesday, July 28th. And in this video, we're going to be reviewing Tilray's financials. So they reported fiscal 2021 and Q4 2021 results, and they were profitable. And we had a huge bullish reaction as investors breathed a sigh of relief and lifted the entire sector. I did a video, so I'm going to run through this one a little bit faster as I did one yesterday, but I mentioned yesterday that it may not be a bad idea to start scaling into Tilray at those levels, and that we could see a 5, 10, 20, maybe even 30% bounce across the sector, and Tilray posting over 30% in the last couple of days. So congrats to the bulls that were out there, but nice to see that it finally provided some bullish momentum to the sector. But before we jump into the Tilray financials, make sure to smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll put some timestamps in the description below where we'll review the financials, then we'll look at some other news and events. Then we'll do a detailed analysis on Tilray and the rest of the Canadian and US sectors. So Tilray reports profitable Q4 in the first quarter after blockbuster deal with Afria. And this is a pretty positive article here from BNN, but they did mention that Tilray was expected to report $150 million in revenue in its fourth quarter while posting US $5.8 million in EBITDA, according to analysts polled by Bloomberg. So Tilray also gained market share in the Canadian cannabis market each month since April. Although it didn't provide specifics, Tilray had about 16% of the Canadian market share in June above Hexo Corp and Canopy. Found it interesting that they listed Hexo even before Canopy there as well. So moving on, taking a look here at the Tilray financial results. So cash and cash equivalents were $488 million versus $360 million that time last year at May 31st, 2020. Total assets, nothing to see here. We're looking good at $6 million, and liabilities at $1.5 million. So everything looking good on that front. In terms of net revenue, came in at $142 million, and that is in United States dollars. And taking a look at the earnings per share, came in at positive 0.18 on the EPS. So I think that was one of the reasons why we had a huge bullish move today in the market or in the stock and in the sector. But also the adjusted EBITDA here of $12.3 million versus $3 million in 2020. So that was another reason why I think we had a huge move on the Tilray chart. But again, congrats to the bulls. They reported a $336 million annual loss, but they target $4 billion in sales by 2024. So nice to see that management is confident, and that's not too far away. That's only about 3 years away. So a lot can happen between now and then, and I do think that that's entirely possible as the market continues. We know that recreational sales in Canada continued to notch records last month, and we know that the US is on basically on path to do about $100 billion in annual sales in the next 3 to 5 years. I believe is entirely possible. So moving on, Houseplant and Canopy Growth to conclude their strategic relationship in Canada. Not really too concerned about this, not too good for Canopy, I wouldn't think. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this, but personally, I did not like the Houseplant drinks whatsoever. I stopped buying them completely. I found them absolutely terrible. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Also, Cannara Biotech Inc. reports strong first quarterly profit driven by retail debut. So total revenue of $7.2 million, including $5.9 million in MJ sales net of excise tax. Gross profit of $3.5 million or 49%, and $4.4 million or 62% of fair value adjustments. And adjusted EBITDA of $1.7 million of 23%. So I'm going to question how much of this is going to eat into especially some of other LPs like Hexo for the quarter. But as we know, SSL even said that craft really surprised them, and it's not surprising. They got really good MJ at really good prices, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens if they start to expand nationwide. But a name that we're extremely bullish on in our group. But financials were very impressive there. Also, Flora Growth shares touched 52-week high after the joint venture news. So the news on Flora Growth Corp was the joint venture with Avaria Inc. So huge move up, I think over 200, I think it's 230%. Let's take a look real quick. Yeah, 258% in the last 9 days. So congrats to the bulls there. Absolute monster move. But moving on to the Tilray chart. So in the last 2 days from the low, if you would have entered on that low here, it was a daily bear flag that was confirming. But if you would have started to scale in, we did touch down to 1254. So we had a daily bear flag target of about 10.6, so $10.60. But if you would have started to scale in and look to play off $10 psychological support leading into the earnings. It was definitely a gamble, but like I said in the video yesterday, it may not be a bad idea. We were down 81% from the recent highs and up 31% in the last 2 days from the low. But as I said, we were down about 81%. How much lower are we really going to go? And then on the monthly chart, we're just looking for a monthly higher low, and we only have 1 day, 23 hours left in this monthly candle. And here we are set to potentially close with that huge move in the last couple of days. We could potentially close over the 10-month moving average and EMA 12. If that is the case, that is going to be a nice save by the bulls. Here we are up to 1625 after hours, so 1.5%, and this is in US dollars. Everything that will be covered in this video in terms of prices is in US dollars, but Tilray led the charge today, not surprising. And on the weekly time frame, we are topping out just below the weekly EMA. So if we can close over 1679 this week, that is going to be bullish in my opinion, but we really have a lack of resistance on the weekly chart all the way up to 2304. So weekly bounce is now underway with breaking the high of last week at 1489. Now a question is, how big of a bounce are we going to get so that bulls can attempt a weekly trend change? But in terms of the daily time frame, now we have a ton of room to form a daily higher low, but it's looking like we could potentially see a daily inside bar and tightening range leading into tomorrow. But essentially, if we do pull back and say we pull back to the 1350 area, that's about a 16% pullback, but we'll just be looking for a higher low and then a higher high to attempt a daily trend change. And then that will mark our temporary bottom likely at that point. But we're a little skeptical here at the moment and just a little cautious. I do want to highlight on the weekly, we have the 10-week moving average there at 1674. And the high of the day today, just taking a look at the daily time frame. So the high of the day today, we also rejected at the 50-day moving average at 1679, and the high of the day at 1649. So that 50-day moving average and the 10-week moving average there at 1674, and the 50-day moving average at 1679. So we'll say 1680 is going to be a level of resistance that's going to be strong resistance in my opinion. So if we could see a daily close above that tomorrow and then ultimately a weekly close above that level, that would be extremely bullish. We also have the 100-day moving average up at 1837. So if we do manage to close above those, that could be another area of interest as well to target. But we are seeing a bullish 50 weekly moving average through the 100 weekly moving average. So going to see whether or not we could see some potential further upside from these current levels. MACD and stochastic yet to see a bullish cross, so we still got some work to do on that front. But we also have the 20 weekly moving average there at 1774, and then the weekly VWAP up at 1965. So I could see $20 maybe in the next couple of weeks, but it's really going to depend on the overall broader market and SPY. Right now, the S&P 500 is a potential daily bull flag, and if we see that confirm with a new all-time high tomorrow or into Friday, then we could be targeting 450 from that daily bull flag target on SPY. That would bode well for the Tilray and the MJ Sector bulls. So we'll see how much more of a bounce we can get leading into tomorrow. But nice move here after hours. And if we can break 1649 tomorrow, daily bounce continues into tomorrow. We do have a lack of resistance on the daily up until 1742. So that 17 to $18 area is going to be very strong resistance in my opinion, but huge volume today, nowhere near daily overbought after starting the daily oversold bounce. So when we touched down here on the first daily oversold, it ended up just being a lower high and then a bear flag confirming, but then we touched down on oversold again. So we were starting to see a little bit of bullish RSI divergence there as well. Not a whole lot, but something that we were keeping an eye on. And that's why I said wouldn't be a bad idea to start scaling in. And bulls were rewarded heavily. But overall, sector is very pleased with the results, and we'll take it. So on the bull list, we had Tilray, VLNS, and OGI. On the bear list, we only had Labs. Love was flat on the day today. So 18.5 resistance is the 52-week high. That is the level of resistance to get over. And you could even set a stop buy for maybe even 19 or 20 cents and potentially see some fireworks if we do get over that level. But just taking a look at some of the rest of the sector here. So CGC, daily bounce underway, but still in a daily downtrend, and bulls not nearly enough room to form its daily higher low and trend change attempt. Hexo had a nice move today, but again, topping out at EMA 12. So we've been rejecting at EMA 12 now for several weeks at that yellow line and look exactly where we topped out today. It was picture perfect. So that technical analysis stuff definitely works. Not all the time. It's not a guarantee. It's the law of probability. So we look at confluence, which means we look at multiple different indicators and patterns for the same type of signal. And if all those signals, or if we have multiple signals and patterns that are bullish, then that increases the odds of a bullish outcome. If they're bearish, then that increases the odds of a bearish outcome. So we just simply look at the charts as a way of potentially seeing what the most likely scenario and outcome is going to be. But bulls want to see a high of the day today at 439 be broken tomorrow. And again, we want to see a big of a bounce here on the daily as possible, as we're still in a daily downtrend. And right now it's just a potential daily lower high, but we do have daily resistance there at 450. So that's the level to get over on Hexo. SNDL had a nice move, but again, had daily resistance there at 88 cents. And that's exactly where we topped out today. Failed to close over EMA 26, which has been rejecting the price now for several weeks as well. But nice step in the right direction here, all led by Tilray bulls. All right, moving on to the US space. So taking a look at the movers and shakers over here, PLTH, TAT, and AYR led the decline today. Not surprising, FLGC, MMEN, and CWeb led the bull list, but not surprising, FLGC was the winner here. But got to be a little bit cautious here. That was a pretty bearish candle close with a huge blow off top and upper wick. But based on the size of this range, it was up about 100% today. So congrats to the bulls, but likely a daily inside bar and tightening range. But this is one of those names where, when we run 100% in a day, don't be surprised if we drop 10, 20, 30, maybe even 40% plus on this name. But I would be extremely cautious if looking for bullish entries at the moment on FLGC. In terms of MSOS, so daily bounce is underway, but pretty lackluster at the moment. So US MJ not seeing as much bullish momentum at the moment. And we did have support there at 35.11. We got as low as 34.84, but not much follow through. And we were confirming a daily downtrend there and daily lower low. But again, want to see us break the high of the day tomorrow, continue this daily bounce, and then get as big of a bounce as possible. We want to see the whole sector get as big of a bounce as possible, allow for that room to form a higher low and then a higher high trend change attempt. That's what we need to see across the more names, and the more names in the US, the more names in the Canadian space that confirm daily uptrends, the more confident we are as sector bulls that the temporary bottoms can be in. But can't help but wonder if the S&P 500 sees any real weakness. What's going to happen if it sees monthly consolidation? We're going on 10 months now, 11 months without any monthly consolidation on the S&P 500. We know it's going to come eventually. It's not a question of if, it's a matter of when. So going to end it there. Canadian MJ definitely standing out today, taking the spotlight off the back of Tilray earnings, and investors can breathe a sigh of relief for now. Thanks for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth for an MJ Sector review, and we'll see you tomorrow after market close.